Hello. During translation, it is about the formation of a sequence of amino acids bound by peptide bonds. Peptide bond is energetically demanding. So the bond, the amino acid that comes in and should bind with tRNA, and then that should be transferred to the growing peptide chain, or that way the peptide bond should happen. So the amino acid itself or the tRNA cannot directly mediate and bind to form a high energy bond. Instead, it is by using the ATP, energy from ATP, to make a high energy bond and then eventually carry on to form a peptide. So that is what brings us to the charging of tRNA. Charging of tRNA would mean that a tRNA bound by an amino acid. The tRNA synthetases mediate that, and we'll just have a look at the chemistry of it at this point. What we see here is an amino acid which has the amino group in this location and a carboxylic group here, and this is where the arch chain where different amino acids would differ, and that is how we distinguish it. So it is first bound by the COOH, will make an attack or will bind with the alpha carbon of the ATP, releasing the two phosphates, beta and gamma phosphates, as pyrophosphate. And now we have an amino acid that is adenylated, meaning that AMP has been added to the amino acid. This is the amino acid here. And now this is kind of activating the amino acid, and this amino acid should now be transferred to the tRNA. So the 3' OH of CCA, this is the 3' OH, so we should read from here. CCA, that is added on to during the processing of the tRNA. The 3' OH of the adenine will make a nucleophilic attack on the carbon of the carboxylic group of the amino acid, thereby releasing the AMP, and now we can think of it as the amino acid is added on to the 3' end of the tRNA at the CCA sequence, and now we call this tRNA as charged tRNA. There are two classes of tRNAs in this sense. Say in class 1, the difference here is about this part, that is it 3' OH that binds to the amino acid, or the 2' OH. If the 2' OH is going to bind, we call them as class 1, and if it is 3' OH, then we call them as class 2 tRNAs. So it is a simple one, and the 2' and 3' carbons are adjacent, and the amino acid sometimes seem to be equilibrating between the 2' and 3'. However, to distinguish between class 1 and class 2, to which of these carbons is the amino acid first added is what we are going to count on. If it is on 2' OH, then we call them as class 1, and if it is 3' OH of the adenine at the 3' end of the tRNA, we call them as class 2. Thank you very much.